Hello and welcome back. This is week 3. I'm just going to making this short video to walk you guys through a little bit of what you should be looking at. Maybe introduce some elements here before we get started. Most of the stuff that I have here is pretty straightforward, I think. I have 3 stories, as you can see, that I've chosen. 2 of these 3 get assigned quite a bit, probably because teachers really love them because there's a lot of elements that tend to pop to the surface. You may have even read some of these. The third one is Marquez's Very Old Man with Enormous Wings, which is just something, I don't know, you may have already read that too, but it's an example of something that we'll eventually get to when we talk about genre, or at least when I present to you the genre in this module. Basically just a little short intro so that you guys kind of know what's coming. I don't alternate this very much the first few weeks, just so that you can get some of the elements down. Usually what I'll have here, as I explained before, is I will have some outcomes and objectives, or at least I may have discussed them before. I don't know which order videos you're going in sometimes. But I usually try to start the unit with some outcomes and objectives, meaning some things to sort of prepare yourself to be aware of as the module progresses. Maybe hold those in the back of your head. A list of the readings. These are not links because now we're getting into the Seagull Reader story, so I'm assuming by this point in week 2 or 3 it will have gotten this. Maybe that's just an assumption on my part. If that is not the case, then please contact me right away. Because I'm just going to be referencing the Seagull Reader when I do this. Some of these, maybe most of these, you may be able to find online. But maybe some of the connections aren't going to be made as much without the little intros. I don't think it's the end of the world if this week you do, if you've had a chance to look at the Seagull Reader introduction, that would be very helpful. But if you've looked up some of those definitions on your own, you may still have sort of a working understanding of what's going on. But I will make the assumption from this point on that you have access to the Seagull Reader. But these stories you should be able to find if you just want to read them, if you still are having some difficulties with that. But after this week, it may get a little bit harder to do. So the last part here are the tasks, basically the discussion thread. I'm not going to click through all of them, all of this stuff right now, because some of this is still being built a little bit, but I just thought I'd make a video at least for now. The discussion thread will pop up a few pages in. Make sure to look at that, even if you sort of skip past it and return to it, because the due date is not until Wednesday. But after that comes the response. You're welcome to look at it as long as you're sort of clicking through in order. I don't think it really stops you from doing that. But if some people like to look at the responses before they do the reading, I don't know, maybe so they know what they're looking for. It's not required. I personally would just go ahead and read the stories just so that you can enjoy them to the best of your abilities before you have these other things on your brain. I think I build my questions and my responses in a way that you can do that. I'm not going to tell you, what happened on page 3 or page 4, but I will probably make you do some connections, some more specific connections, just so that we're all on the same page, and to make sure, I guess, that you're reading it. Although, if you're in this class by this point, you should probably enjoy reading because you're probably getting close to deciding on being some kind of English major. So it's probably a good, if you're skipping over stories, that's pretty bad because these are designed to be enjoyable for people like me, at least. But in either case, and try to read the stories and get whatever enjoyment you can, because I do select these because I do think that they're not only helpful and they illustrate themes and topics that I want to get to, but also just because they're darn fun to read. I don't know how else to put it. So at the end there is a quiz. Quiz is used sort of in quotes because pretty much any sort of timed response is going to be a quiz. So don't always think of it as a multiple choice. It may just be an open-ended question that I just want you to spend some time with some analysis. Make sure that it's your own analysis. Googling stuff is, I guess you can I can't necessarily stop you. Well, I guess I can, but in some ways. But I try to build my questions so that I'm really trying to get at the heart of how you're responding to it. So if you take these questions sort of at face value and know that I'm not out to get you. I'm just really interested in these sort of at least initial walkthroughs to get at how you're responding to these. So built into sort of the more technical, what happens here, what happens there, is some room for just tell me what you're thinking. Let's practice critical evaluation. And I'm a lot less critical about these initial, a discussion thread, or even just sort of a semi-formal response, even quizzes to an extent, other than just the multiple choice that you might have to do. Even those have a little bit of wiggle room in terms of how you're interpreting things, and I acknowledge that. So don't look at this as an opportunity to tell me what other people think about it. Look at this as an opportunity to mix up maybe some critical understanding that you're gaining from whatever outside reading you might be doing about it. To say, if it's a story that like just grabs you, but you're not quite sure kind of how it works, and you sort of quickly Google, well, I need to know what happened here. That happens, and I'm not necessarily gonna lecture you about that. But I will say that you're going to get much further in this class if I just get a sense that you're trying to put yourself into these assignments. And I try to build the questions and anything that I give you with that in mind. So my experience is just that people that just give me these static responses that are always correct but don't really do any thinking tend not to do as well when they get to sort of the bigger projects where I really try to interact with you in a way that's helpful to both of us. So that's just my little intro. Make sure to read these. I have some videos that you can look at to understand a little bit more about genre and context and terms that I start some of these pages with that you might think about looking up. If I don't explain them as fully as I probably have time to sometimes. And then just sort of work through this as best you can. It's not real heavy lifting the first few weeks. It's mostly reading and just sort of quick responses. Once we get to the more paper heavy section of the unit, which is going to start pretty soon at this point, I think that you'll get your money's worth. I'll just put it that way. Okay, so these first couple weeks, really just read, enjoy as best you can, respond honestly with a critical eye, maybe take some of the hints that I'm giving you along the way about how to do that. Read some of those supplementary materials. They're really heavy, but they're really good, but I don't want you necessarily reading 20-page critical theory papers right off. But if you're the kind of person that does like to be challenged by that, I would recommend that, and I do try to put a page at the end where I just make a list of the things, of the links and the readings that the critical readings that I have you do. But the primary focus of these first couple of weeks is really just the stories themselves and your response to those stories. Later on, it may be kind of more important for you to look back at those critical theory kind of things that those supplementary critical theory thinking, because you can use those later. You're more than welcome to look stuff up on your own if what I'm giving you doesn't sing to you, and I will in some cases encourage you to do that. If not in the prompt itself, in understanding, maybe giving me a little bit more of the context. Okay, so that's kind of the best way that I can explain it to you right now with a sort of a quick little intro. But I'll be back next week to, if I don't see you before then I will definitely let you know if there's anything that comes to mind. All right, thank you.